What's up YouTube, Capital G here. Got an incredibly spicy Spyral play to show you guys. This one actually blew my mind. I had never seen anything like this before, and I did not know that Spyrals could pump out this type of damage. At the end of this replay, you might just have your mind blown if you're not actually familiar with this play. Now, I will warn you guys, it runs some pretty obscure cards, but they're not obscure cards that you have to run in the main deck, just cards that you have to run out of the extra deck, and the deck can do some ridiculously stupid damage. I feel like it's a good time to throw some Spyral replays you guys' way because Spyrals are getting more support in Maximum Crisis. People are going to be talking about this deck all week, and two things are basically going to be exploited in this video. Number one, machine duplication is just fucking ridiculous in this deck, and number two, a lot of the card effects in Spyrals are not once per turn, so you can use things like the quick fix. You can use its graveyard effect like over and over and over again as long as you have like cards to pitch and UXC. So a couple of things are just going to be exploited. So he gets out the super agent, he gets out the quick fix, searches big red, machine dupe time, and he's going to get some searching. Again, none of those cards are once per turn. I believe he's going to XYZ Shokin, and you have to run this card right here. It's called Shamoji Soldier. It's really random. Don't ask me why. The effect is really not relevant at all, guys. You're going to OTK your opponents. You're just going to use this effect. Just use the, you're basically just trying to get it on the field because you're going to go into an XYZ monster, Numeron Dragon, and you have to have two XYZs that have the same name and the same rank. So it actually just makes sense. So he does even more machine duplication plays, and you see that he just constantly is bringing quick fix back from the graveyard, but it does actually serve a purpose. You're basically trying to XYZ again after you go into punishment, you go into crime, and then you actually can bring out your Utopia Kaiser, and then you can bring out this guy's effects. For Utopia Kaiser, you have to have 2 or more number monsters with the same rank, and they actually have to have material. So this is not a very easy card to bring out, but it is quite possible because Spyrals can actually, they can spam the board with rank 1s, and usually those rank 1s don't really do anything, but they do something in this situation. He gets rid of that pesky back row, hoping it's not a Mirror Force. Then he brings out 2 really big XYZs. He brings out Tack Down Dragon, and he brings out the Dyson Spear. It doesn't even matter that these guys don't have their effects or that they really are just kind of useless cards. The only thing that you're worried about at this point, guys, is getting as many ranks on the field as possible. See, the thing about Numeron Dragon and this card is the damage you can do from this card is actually fucking absurd, but the way that you do a bunch of damage with this card is you spam your board with a bunch of XYZs, and you want to get a bunch of high rank XYZs. It doesn't matter if they have their effects or if they can attack, because this guy will actually gain 1,000 attack for each rank on the field. And let me just roll this and show you guys. He activates his effect, 30,000 attack. What deck is going to survive a 30,000 attack monster? GG no re. And yes, it did actually take him all of the cards in his hand, but technically he still has 6 cards on the field, so he didn't actually lose any advantage in going through this whole play, and he was able to keep his super soldier on the field at the same time. So, you know, he gets to style on his opponents. Isn't that what Spyrals are about anyways? Putting super soldier on the field and, you know, having it not die. Obviously, it really wasn't relevant. Super soldier was basically just a conduit for this play. It was necessary to have on the field because he needed to keep summoning the quick fix back from the graveyard over and over and over again so that you could spam the deck, or so that you could spam the field with XYZs. But just a really crazy play. I'm pretty sure that most people are going to be like, Cat, what the fuck did I just watch? I told you it ran a bunch of obscure cards, and unfortunately almost nobody can play this deck IRL because Utopia Kaiser is a YCS promo card. So if this wasn't, then maybe we'd be able to play this deck, but almost, I don't know how many people could probably play. Maybe 10, 15 people in the world can actually play this deck in real life. But anyways, just wanted to show you guys the deck. Maybe I'll do, you know what, I think I'm gonna go ahead and do a deck profile really quickly. It shouldn't take longer than like a minute or two. So this is what the deck looks like on paper, and I have to admit this build is obviously very gimmicky. It is pretty much boom or bust, get your OTK off, or, you know, basically go home. But I like the fact that you don't have to run any gimmicky stuff in your main deck. Since this is an OTK or bust deck, you're basically making this deck to go second. So you will have to run some hand traps, your Ghost Ogres, your Maxis. You run a couple of field clearing cards. You've got Kaijus in case you need to break up a Trident or like a big stun monster. Maybe your opponent opponent has like a Titanic Galaxy. You also run some board wipes in the Interrupted Slumbers, Twin Twisters. You've got Regeki. If you wanted to make this version extremely budget outside of, you know, the extra deck, obviously you could replace this with a Dark Hole. All the gimmicks start basically from the extra deck. It's just kind of a whole bunch of different rank 1s, and you need rank 1s with different names to really maximize your potential of the Utopia Kaiser. Again, this is a card that is pretty much impossible to get in real life unless you've got like some serious connections, but if you're ever just playing online, you want to mess around on Dueling Book or something like that, this card does let you do a massive amount of damage. Now, it is important to know, honestly, it shouldn't come up that often, but when you activate Utopia Kaiser's effect and you summon your Dyson Spear and you get your Tachyon Dragon, not only will their effects be negated, but all battle damage that you do for the rest of the turn will actually be half, but it won't actually matter because your new run dragon is like 30,000 attack. So how relevant is it that, you know, it can only do, you know, so much damage? Like if you attack over an opponent's monster with a 30,000 attack monster, their chances of surviving that attack are slim to nil, even if you only do half the damage. And as you guys saw on the replay, he still had other monsters on the board that can attack. He still had the Spyral Super Agent. You still have the Tachyon Galaxy. Like, you still have a whole bunch of monsters on the board. It doesn't really matter that the damage is half. So just a little fun experimental deck. The deck basically revolves around just spamming a whole bunch of rank 1 monsters on the field, considering that quick fix, you can basically just get it back as many times from the graveyard as you want. And you know, basically just is a deck that is completely unexpected. I think even if you ran into a dimensional barrier, if you just blind Twin Twister, people might call it C. If that happens, then that would be unfortunate, but I don't know. I think this deck is pretty cool. So you guys let me know what you think. Thank you guys for watching as always.